Ethan sits alone at his desk in a dimly lit, nearly empty call center. The office is spacious but feels eerie due to its emptiness. The flickering fluorescent lights cast long shadows across the rows of abandoned desks and outdated computer terminals. The phone screen shows a blank caller ID as Ethan hesitates before answering.
Ethan's face is illuminated by the glow of the computer screen as he answers the phone. The office is quiet, with only the hum of machinery in the background. Ethan's expression shifts from curiosity to concern as he hears the unsettling, raspy voice saying his name. The room feels more oppressive with each passing second. Ethan's hands shake as he works at his desk, trying to focus on his tasks. The shadows in the corners of the office appear to move, creating an unsettling atmosphere. The security cameras show empty, darkened spaces, and Ethan's fearful glances reveal nothing out of the ordinary, yet the sense of being watched persists. The office lights flicker violently, and a cold draft sweeps through the room. Ethan looks around frantically, seeing nothing but feeling a cold, oppressive presence. Shadows seem to shift and stretch unnaturally, and faint, eerie footsteps echo through the office, heightening his fear. Ethan's expression is one of sheer panic as he answers the phone once more. The office is in darkness as the lights go out, leaving only the beam of his emergency flashlight cutting through the shadows. The figure is a dark, indistinct shape with glowing eyes advancing menacingly toward Ethan, who clutches a fire extinguisher, ready to defend himself. The office is eerily calm with the lights back on. Ethan stands by his desk, visibly shaken, as the space returns to its mundane state. The security cameras show normal, empty desks and quiet hallways. The room appears unchanged, but Ethan's expression reflects the trauma of the night's events.
Helen sits alone in the dimly lit security office of Taunton Manor. The room is cluttered with old security equipment and monitors displaying static. The only light comes from a flickering overhead bulb, casting long shadows on the walls. The manor's grand, eerie architecture is visible through the small, grimy window behind Helen, with the clock on the wall showing midnight. The hallway outside the security office is dimly lit, with lights flickering erratically. The high ceilings and dark wood paneling create a grand but intimidating atmosphere. Helen is seen peering out from the office, her face illuminated by the erratic light, as she walks towards the source of the disturbance with a concerned expression. Helen stands in an old, dusty room filled with antique furniture. The room is dimly lit, with an old wooden door slightly ajar. The furniture is covered in cobwebs, and the air is thick with dust. A faint whisper seems to emanate from a corner of the room, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Helen is back in the security office, staring at a monitor that now shows a dark, indistinct shadow moving through the hallway. The screen is mostly static, but the shadow is clearly visible, moving in a ghostly manner. Helen's face reflects her growing unease as she watches the unsettling feed. The hallway of Taunton Manor is dark and foreboding, with long, twisting shadows cast by the malfunctioning lights. Helen walks cautiously, holding a flashlight that barely pierces the darkness. The grand staircase looms in the background, adding to the ominous atmosphere of the scene. At the top of the grand staircase, Helen encounters a shadowy figure. The figure is tall and indistinct, shrouded in darkness with glowing, faintly visible eyes. The hallway is dimly lit, with eerie, elongated shadows stretching across the walls. Helen's expression is one of terror as she faces the ghostly figure. Helen races down the grand staircase, her face illuminated by the beam of her flashlight. The scene is chaotic, with shadows and light playing tricks on the eyes. The figure's presence looms behind her, adding to the sense of panic and urgency. The staircase is dark and the air is filled with the sound of Helen's hurried footsteps. In the security office, Helen stands defensively with an old fire extinguisher. The room is filled with a cloud of white powder from the extinguisher. The shadowy figure is partially obscured by the powder, its presence menacing and distorted. The lights flicker wildly, and Helen's face shows a mix of fear and determination. The sun is rising as Helen exits Tanton Manor, bathed in the first light of dawn. The manor's facade is still imposing but less threatening in the daylight. Helen walks away from the manor, her expression relieved but haunted. The manor looms behind her, its windows resembling unblinking eyes watching her departure.
Claire is alone at the counter of a small, dimly lit convenience store. The store is sparsely stocked, and the harsh fluorescent lights cast stark shadows across empty aisles. Claire is focused on restocking shelves, the clock on the wall ticking loudly in the quiet. The store feels eerily still, and the atmosphere is tense. A tall man in a dark coat and hat enters the store. The man's face is obscured by the brim of his hat, adding to the mystery. Claire is behind the counter, looking uneasy as she watches him wander through the aisles. The man's movements are deliberate and unsettling, creating an ominous feeling in the store. The store's fluorescent lights flicker and dim, casting erratic shadows across the aisles. Claire heads to the back room to check the circuit breaker, and the store becomes eerily quiet. The darkness feels heavy, with shadows stretching menacingly. Claire's nervous expression is illuminated only by the small light from her flashlight. Claire returns to the front of the store to find the man gone. The door is locked and the security cameras show static. The store layout seems to have changed, with shelves and aisles appearing in unfamiliar places. Claire's expression is one of confusion and fear as she realizes she's lost in her own store. Claire navigates the maze-like store, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. She follows the haunting melody of a music box, which grows louder and more eerie. The store's aisles twist and turn, creating a disorienting and claustrophobic environment. The music box sits on a counter, playing a disturbing tune. Claire stands in front of the counter where the man now appears. The man's face is more visible, his eyes dark and hollow. The lights flicker ominously as Claire's fear escalates. She desperately tries to find an exit, her face showing intense panic. The store's usual order has turned into a nightmarish labyrinth. The store is back to normal, with the lights on and shelves in their original places. Claire, visibly shaken, checks the security footage that shows nothing unusual. The clock on the wall shows only a few minutes have passed. The store feels eerily calm, but Claire's haunted expression suggests that something sinister happened.
Sam sits alone at a desk in the dimly lit security office of Hollow Creek Funeral Home. The room is small, cluttered with old security monitors showing static, and lit only by a flickering desk lamp. The backdrop is the grand, Gothic architecture of the funeral home visible through a grimy window. The atmosphere is tense, with shadows stretching across the walls. The corridor outside the security office is dim and eerie, with lights flickering intermittently. The corridor is lined with dark wooden paneling and ornate decorations typical of old funeral homes. Sam is seen peering cautiously from the office, with an expression of concern, as they head toward the source of the disturbance. The viewing room is dark and filled with the ominous glow of flickering lights. Heavy, dusty curtains hang over large windows, and rows of uncomfortable chairs are set up in a somber arrangement. The scene includes a faint, ghostly outline of the curtains moving slightly, creating a sense of unease. Inside the viewing room, Sam is seen struggling with a heavy wooden door that has slammed shut. The room is illuminated by the flickering light, casting dramatic shadows. Sam's flashlight beam reveals their anxious face and the dark, cold atmosphere of the room. The viewing room is now bathed in complete darkness, with the flashlight beam flickering. Shadows dance on the walls, and the room is filled with a ghostly, misty atmosphere. The whispers are represented by ghostly, wavy lines or subtle distortions in the air, adding to the eerie feeling. Sam is seen furiously hitting the door with a metal candlestick, with the room's harsh light illuminating the scene. The image captures Sam's frantic expression and the cloud of white powder from the extinguisher filling the air. The shadows and light play across the walls, creating a chaotic, tense atmosphere. The viewing room is suddenly brightly lit with harsh, sterile light. The door is now ajar, and Sam looks bewildered and relieved. The room appears calm, with no sign of the earlier disturbances. The contrast between the bright light and the earlier darkness highlights the sudden shift in the atmosphere. The viewing room is suddenly brightly lit with harsh, sterile light. The door is now ajar, and Sam looks bewildered and relieved. The room appears calm, with no sign of the earlier disturbances. The contrast between the bright light and the earlier darkness highlights the sudden shift in the atmosphere.
Lucas stands behind the counter at a small, dimly lit gas station on a lonely stretch of highway. The station is surrounded by dense, dark woods, with the highway stretching into the distance. The fluorescent lights above cast a harsh, sterile glow over the empty forecourt, and the night is still and quiet. The only signs of life are the occasional passing car and the hum of the gas pumps. An old, rusty sedan pulls into the gas station. The car's tinted windows reflect the dim lights of the station. The driver's side door creaks open, but the car remains empty as Lucas approaches. The scene is dimly lit, with shadows cast by the station's lights creating an eerie atmosphere around the abandoned vehicle. Lucas stands outside, peering into the dark woods behind the gas station. A faint, ghostly light glows through the trees, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The path leading into the woods is barely visible, shrouded in mist and shadow. Lucas holds a flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness as he prepares to investigate. Lucas reaches a small clearing in the woods, where an old, decrepit cabin stands. The cabin is partially hidden by overgrown vegetation, with shattered windows and a door hanging loosely on its hinges. The eerie, pulsing glow comes from an antique lamp inside, casting distorted shadows on the cabin's exterior. Inside the cabin, the room is filled with dust and cobwebs. The source of the glow is an antique lamp on a dusty table. The room is cluttered with old furniture and unsettling photographs of unknown people. The lamp's light creates eerie shadows on the walls, and Lucas's face shows a mix of fear and curiosity as he explores. The cabin's door slams shut, plunging the room into darkness. Lucas's flashlight flickers and goes out, leaving only the dim, flickering light of the lamp. A shadowy figure stands in the corner of the room, partially illuminated by the lamp's eerie glow. The figure is pale, gaunt, and its hollow eyes pierce through the darkness. Lucas's face is filled with terror as he realizes the figure's presence. Lucas bursts out of the cabin into the dark, dense woods. The scene shows him stumbling through the underbrush, his clothes torn, and his expression one of sheer panic. The woods around him are dark and foreboding, with twisted trees and shifting shadows, creating a disorienting maze. Lucas returns to the gas station, visibly shaken. The station looks normal again, with the lights on and the layout unchanged. The clock on the wall shows only a few minutes have passed since the unsettling events. Lucas sits in the small office, looking around with a mix of confusion and fear, as if expecting something sinister to happen.
As the final echoes of the tale fade into the darkness, remember this: in the shadows where fear takes root, the true horror lies not in the creatures that lurk, but in the darkness within ourselves. We tell these stories not just to scare or entertain, but to confront the fears that we try so hard to ignore. So as you step back into the light of the real world, carry with you the lessons of the night. The monsters we create are reflections of our deepest anxieties, and the strength to overcome them is within each of us. Sleep well, and remember, in the realm of fear, we are the true masters of our fate. Good night, and may your dreams be free of shadows. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the notification bell for you to see my future update on this channel. Stay safe and always remember to lock your doors.